Thank you guys for that great work, and congratulations on finishing the hardest part of thesis. So I had a question that any of you can answer, whoever wants to answer first. I'm wondering if you can describe a failure that you had along the way, something that you designed that didn't work the way you thought it would, or users didn't respond how you thought they would, that made you rethink how you ended up designing the final product.
Well, I can go first. So at first, when I look at a lot of micro apartments inspirations, I saw that people start to focus on creating furniture that's multiple use and multifunctional. But then this makes me realize that when a product is created for multifunctions, but when you don't need the extra functions, it doesn't answer to that question anymore. It becomes another problem. So that's where I realized the failure, where people is focusing on just that single point, but not looking at the entire system overall. So then I pivot my direction to creating it to be more flexible instead of squeezing more features into an individual furniture.
For me, while the process of the thesis, I found I don't think that's just a failure, but I learned by each step when I user test with people. So, for example, at first, my prototype was only engaging the child in the cooking process without anything, just purely participation of the child. But when I tested with people and mothers, the level of concentration didn't last long because the mother had to force the child to keep engaged in the process, and they kept running away. So I had to think about another idea to let them have more enjoyable moment in the cooking process. So one was having the molds that they can touch by themselves, like animal shape, and also story part was later on I got that idea from a mother when I was testing with user.
Right, and that seemed like a really key glue between the phases of interaction for the parent and for the kid, is having that story to tie the pieces together. And I was wondering when I was watching the adorable sweaty pig, did you write that story with the elephant, or did you get that from somewhere else?
Yeah, I just made it up in, yeah. Yeah.
And how about you, Min?
For me, I think the failure of that system is, more to see it broadly. I think the phenomenon we are so accustomed to the automation is quite a big danger, because we are just accustomed to the making a lot of records, but we never revisit them. But I believe that there is something important to we have to revisit and think. And I think for the memory and our history is something we have to take a time to look back. So, because of this, I originally designed, my original direction was to design some total automation actually. But then as I go through the whole process, I just realized this is not about the automation thing, and I have to I have to design something that I can encourage people to spend time more the important things. So that's what I want to pursue for this project, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and that seemed like a key insight for you, thinking at first you need to make it as easy as possible for the user, but then realizing actually the user, you have to encourage the user to do the work themselves. That's the key. There's no magical solution and I think that was a great pivot that you made in your piece, that technology can help us, but it can't be smart enough to do everything on its own. So do you think, Min, that everyone would benefit if we had a personal memory person like the king that you showed? Because it reminds me of like the archetype of the beloved neurotic New Yorker archetype who goes to therapy and then is like, everyone, you need to go to therapy too. So do you believe that it's really that everybody needs?
Yes, just personally, just I believe it will be benefit for everyone, but it depends on personality because during an interview session, someone don't want to preserve some painful memories, and that in the system. But I prefer to write down the painful memories because it's just fun to see after a few years later, just when I see the me in the past, it's just fun. So it depends on personality, but overall, I believe that it will benefit for you to have their own memory archive. Yeah.
I mean, I wish I had that. Like many of us, I tried to keep a journal and failed over and over again. So if we had something like this, I think it would really help. Keith, a question for you about, and I know that you've gone through this in your process, but I want you to share with the audience. How is what you're making in terms of efficiency different or greater than just decluttering, like the popular Marie Kondo book?
Well, I think it's more of the efficiency part. It's about not just the product itself being efficient, but more of the lifestyle of kind of like how are we aware of what we need, and we keep questioning ourselves, like getting the product that we need in our life, and also understanding the users, like the life cycle of a product, where when a user doesn't need it, how can we create a product that's responsible after that? Like the step after when a user doesn't need it, how can we make that even better? That's what, yeah.
Right, so it's not just getting rid of stuff you don't need, but it's you want your system to penetrate into all of your lifestyle choices.
Right.
It's both considering before and also
Considering
during,
the
do you
after.
really need it, and
Right.
what happens after. And
Right.
did you personally challenge yourself to get rid of anything of your own while you were making this?
Yeah, definitely, because I have to move out of my apartment, and that's when I realize I have so many things in my life, and then I start to really find the meaning inside this, and I feel like throughout the process, I realize something bigger than that, and how can we make use of everyone's power to change something, and not just a single person, yeah.
Right, thank you. Uijun, did you find research or did you directly encounter this, a kind of proof, maybe just with your own daughter, that having fun didn't just involve them in cooking, but actually made them like the taste of stuff that they didn't used to like? Because you started with the hilarious, cute little video of the picky eater spitting out the food, and there's no doubt that the fun part of it seemed like a great success. Did your daughter actually start eating stuff she didn't like before?
Yeah, that one was actually working. She didn't eat the zucchini when I tested with another. Just purely let her eat it. When I did that, it didn't work, and that actually worked. The video is not acting. That's a real video, yeah. And what was the other question?
Oh, I'm just curious if I mean, that basically answers the question, that and it's amazing for a little kid. You would think that sure, they could have more fun, but would it actually change their taste buds? But it actually does, because a lot of times the picky eater is actually being irrational. Mm-hmm. They might not have never even tried it before, and I think that's what's great about your idea. It makes it fun to try new things. So the kid's like, I made that, I want to try it. And often they discover things that they like that they didn't know. Right. So that's awesome.
Yeah, but in addition to that, things started from the research that I showed. When they are involved in the cooking, they eat more vegetables. But I also, it was not proven by my daughter, but also when I tested with other children, I saw they eat it a lot when the mother is using the story to the child, and they are more engaged in the process. And even after this activity, they keep talking about the story they read from the activity.
Right. Well, I want to remind the audience that you'll have a chance to see all of these prototypes in person at the exhibition and reception at the Highline Loft after this, all the presentations starting at 4 o'clock. So you can ask people more questions. You can play with the things they actually made. And congratulations to the 3 of you. Way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.